I've discussed how big of a crapshoot the NBA draft can be countless times here on my channel in the past, and the reason why I continue to emphasize this notion is because year after year, we see players both outplay all expectations they had at the time of the draft, or alternatively, struggle to live up to the hype and disappoint. So many different factors play into the success of a player at the next level, as along with talent, you need to be in a situation where the team that drafts you invests their time in your development, you need the opportunity to play consistently, and the players around you all play a part in a prospect's growth as well. And sometimes the combination of a bad surrounding situation and disappointing individual production results in a player flaming out quicker than anyone could have thought. This brings us to the topic of today's video, where we'll be discussing Jarrett Culver of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and how he's gone from being a very promising, bright, two-way player when he was drafted 2 years ago, to already being the odd man out on a team currently sitting at the bottom of the standings. We'll be going through his journey to get to this point, what's been causing him to disappoint, and whether or not he can turn this around. Before we start though, it turns out about 64% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Culver's basketball journey began in Lubbock, Texas, where he grew up and attended Coronado High School. He had a pretty typical rise as a player in his time there, beginning to really break out in his junior season, where he helped lead his team to the regional semifinals, and after that season concluded, he was named the Varsity Player of the Year for the area by Lubbock Avalanche Journal. He carried that momentum into his senior season, where he averaged about 30 points per game, and repeated as the area's Player of the Year. Yet, despite the awards, impressive production, and overall dominance, he wasn't exactly viewed as a big-time recruit being chased down by major programs. He was viewed as a pretty solid player and still had quite a bit of Division I interest, but he definitely wasn't on any NBA radars quite yet. He was a 3-star recruit, not ranked in the top 100 of his recruiting class, but luckily Texas Tech, which is located in Lubbock, took notice of this local talent and offered him a scholarship that he accepted, declaring that he would play his college basketball for Texas Tech. Going into college, Culver, again, really didn't have very high of expectations. Texas Tech is a solid program in the Big 12, and Culver was a skinny freshman that wasn't guaranteed anything. Yet, Culver came into the team and worked his way into the starting lineup midway through that freshman season, because he proved to them that he could give them very balanced production on offense while playing some terrific and versatile defense. His freshman season, he averaged about 11 points and 5 rebounds per game while shooting it pretty well, but then when his second season came around, he absolutely exploded. He put in so much work to add a lot of strength in that offseason, and he came back not only bigger and stronger, but he also grew from 6'4" to 6'7", while also improving his offensive skill set so much more. He went from a valuable role player on the team to their go-to guy that year, and his ascension elevated the whole team around him. Texas Tech had their best season in a long time with him leading the way, and especially defensively, they set the tone with him at the front, and they ranked as the best defense in college basketball that season, and they made it all the way to the championship game before ultimately losing to Virginia. Despite the loss though, Culver's two-way dominance had him firmly on the radar of NBA teams, and he went from being a nobody in the NBA world to a lock to be selected in the lottery all in 1 year. After that season, he declared for the draft, and scouting reports analyzed his game, all saying a lot of the same things about him. There's a lot to like, and he excels in many different areas, but he wasn't exactly great at any one thing on the offensive end. A lot of his value was built on his defensive prowess, and he was viewed as the best defensive prospect by many at the time because of his ability to defend multiple positions at a high level. Offensively though, the writing was on the wall for what what was about to come, people just didn't quite focus on it as much as maybe they should have. Culver was a solid athlete, but never a great athlete. He could serve well as a secondary playmaker, but wasn't a great shot creator or playmaker, and most of all, his jump shot was pretty inconsistent with odd-looking form. The idea was that you could slot him into a wing position and let him operate some pick and rolls and spot up for some threes in a reduced role from what he was in college, while playing tough defense on the other end, and players like that will always be valuable in the NBA, so on draft night he heard his name called 6th overall as he went to the Phoenix Suns originally, before getting immediately traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, in theory, seemed like a great fit for him because at the time they were in desperate need of defensive help, and Culver was supposed to slot right into the lineup and bring some much-needed balance alongside players like Karl Anthony Towns and later on D'Angelo Russell, amongst others. But needless to say, things have not gone down that way at all. Fast forward to the present, and Culver is a bench warmer, relegated to playing pretty much only garbage time minutes with the occasional brief stint in limited minutes off the bench, and this is less than 2 years after being drafted, yet the Timberwolves really don't seem to have him in their plans moving forward at all already. How did we get here? Well, a lot has happened, but there are a few glaring things that have contributed to this case. Culver had an inconsistent rookie season last year, but he did show some flashes of potential, and his defense was solid at times overall, and that's really all you can expect from most rookies as they get their footing at this level and adjust to the talent of the league. Year 2 is when most players really start to look comfortable and establish themselves as the kind of players that they were drafted to be, so it was a big year for Culver this season, yet this year has been nothing short of a disaster for him. I'll get into his own individual shortcomings later, but the first thing that has slowed him down is admittedly injuries. It started with a sprained ankle that caused him to miss 17 games early on in the season, and during the course of that 17-game stretch, that was when the Timberwolves fired their head coach and brought in Chris Finch to be the new coach. So when Culver returned to the team, he had a whole new coach and system to try to impress and adjust to on the fly. None of that is easy for a young player to have to adjust to, but at the same time, when you do get opportunities to earn minutes, you have to take advantage of them, and Culver's play on the court this year has been objectively poor. His scoring has been cut in half from a season ago, his shooting has been dreadful, making just 24% of his three-point shots, and his defensive ability just doesn't make up for the lack of impact and failure to space the floor that he brings on offense. Additionally, other young players on the Timberwolves have risen past him on the depth chart, leaving him as the odd man out. For example, Anthony Edwards was the #1 pick this year, and he's been sensational in the second half of the season. Jaden McDaniels brings the defensive versatility that they want from the forward spot, while still being able to create some offense and space the floor better than Culver can. Jalen Noel has brought a nice spark as a scorer off the bench, and Jared Vanderbilt's energy is something that the team has really taken a liking to. There's only so many minutes to go around, and even though the Timberwolves are at the bottom of the standings, and this should be the time to give more minutes to the young players they want to develop, it seems like that's exactly what they are doing, and Culver just isn't in that group. It's a really bad situation to find yourself in, and next year might be make or break for him in Minnesota. He has proven before that he has a strong work ethic, and if he has a strong offseason and proves to be worthy of a role on the team next year, then he can for sure get back on track. But this season, his play on the court has been pretty uninspiring, and the Wolves already have an abundance of players that they prefer over him for the long run. He seems to be on the path to becoming a draft bust, but it's definitely way too early to label him as such. With 1 year left on his contract before the team has an opportunity to either take up their team option or let him hit free agency, perhaps a change of scenery would do him some good, but honestly, this is going to come down to how much he can improve over the course of the next year, because he hasn't come anywhere close to living up to the hype, unfortunately. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about Jarrett Culver and his future in the league. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.